coal that provides foreign exchange for Ghana's oil requirements, and he sees an opportunity when GNPC Investment Advisors and Trustees Merchant Bank proposed a transaction with Valley Farms. GNPC guarantees a loan from Caisse Centrale, the French aid agency for the production of cocoa by Valley Farms on a divested cocoa board plantation which had high-grade cocoa. This move helped GNPC financing for oil imports. The Attorney General in the Supreme Court said the state was not questioning the viability of the project. So where is the loss? It is only 6 months to the end of term of the NPP government, and President Kuffour's wishes have been fulfilled. He gloats over Tsatsu's imprisonment in a rally speech at Medina, Accra. A spontaneous campaign to free Tsatsu begins with membership from all over the country and abroad.
When the government of the New Patriotic Party first came to power, it was in 2001, you remember J.H. Mensah? He stood on a political platform and stated that by the time they finished with their opponents, the NDC would not be standing. Presumably, he had in mind jailing them. B.A. Mensah, the businessman, a close associate of the president, did an article in the Chronicle where he stated that it was time to touch the untouchables. And one of the untouchables that he specifically mentioned was Tsatsu Tsikata.
He has served this country with great sacrifice, and he has served this country with great effectiveness. If Ghana today is about to become an oil-producing country, it is largely due to the work that Tsatsu Tsikata did in GNPC.
Adientia enisi yenua Tsatsu Tsikata de fiase sima baakupo ene se onwia obi adama enwia obi atepu onfa obi asika yenua Tsatsu Tsikata onye kronfo ena onye wagadre oye omamba pa waye adwuma se ne be ya Ghana mani na betumpon enunti eniese
The case was heard and treated by a competent court, not in the sense of a legally competent court, but a professionally competent institution. That it was done by an impartial body and done in a manifestly impartial manner. Those two are the conditions for saying once you've been to court, you can't complain. If you are absent, you haven't been to court. You may be to a kangaroo court, but not a court. A commentator in the Legon Observer, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that document, described this as, and I quote, quite amazing and fundamental errors. And I would be embarrassed if I was a professional and had this comment made about me. Luckily for us, this particular matter is still before the Supreme Court, and it is entirely possible that they will correct the error.
What the Bible in Exodus 3:19, which is Tsatsu's response to my answer, whether he was optimistic and whether we should be optimistic about his freedom and his release, is as follows. Unless a mighty hand forces the king of Egypt, he doesn't think he's going to come out of prison. That's the answer that I got from Tsatsu himself through the Bible. But I'd like to add the verse that follows. He didn't quote that, but I want to add that verse. That verse says that, so I will raise my hand and strike the Egyptians, performing all kinds of miracles among them. Then at last, he will let you go. I yearn for that day when God will let Tsatsu go. And I'd like the word to go out to him that many of us here will be there ready and waiting for him. And we think it will be sooner than later to celebrate, that release with.
Tsatsu has sacrificed his life for our dear nation. Tsatsu has demonstrated that you can engage in public service without looting state coffers, without getting corrupted, without amassing wealth. And yet, how do we repay him? for these sacrifices that he has made.
Tsatsu has no business being there. When people like Tsatsu, are put in a place like this, that should tell you the nature of the government. That should tell you the nature of Kuffour and his people, of Nana Akufo-Addo, etc.
There aren't that many people who live by our national anthem. As soon as you start talking about the truth in Tsatsu Tsikata's case, it is given all sorts of colors. Thank you for being bold to defend the cause of freedom and of right. Remember, God is watching. God is watching. Thank you very much.
Members are unrelenting in their pursuit for justice for Tsikata and his release.
If you want to kill me,
Free Tsatsu now is their passionate cry. In 2001, soon after coming into power, the NPP announced its plan to wipe out the NDC through criminal prosecutions. Nana Akufo-Addo, President Kuffour's first Attorney General, becomes the executor of the agenda. Judges, his accomplices, and the courts, his vehicle. Akufo-Addo, who professes to be a human rights lawyer, charges Tsatsu Tsikata with a law that came into force years after the purported crime, contrary to the Constitution of Ghana. He first sends Tsikata to a fast-track court. The summons is in the name of the president. Tsikata takes the matter to the Supreme Court. He argues that the fast-track High Court was not lawfully constituted under the Constitution of Ghana. The summons in the name of the president is also contrary to the tenets of the Constitution. Justice is not supposed to be administered in the name of the president. It is to be administered in the name of the people by a judiciary independent of the executive. Nana Akufo-Addo is stunned. President Kuffour from faraway Australia announces his determination to have the decision reversed. The NPP is upset, and Akufo-Addo and a number of cabinet ministers, including Osafo Mafo, then finance minister, hold a press conference to denounce the Supreme Court decision. For President Kuffour, Akufo-Addo, and the NPP, Tsikata must go to jail by hook or by crook. The first thing the president does on return to Ghana from Australia is to appoint a new Supreme Court judge for a review of the Supreme Court decision. Meanwhile, Tsikata is brought before the normal High Court. The court throws out the charges. Using legislation retroactively to find a criminal charge is unconstitutional and discharges him, but they still pursue him. Even in the house of God, in the presence of the Almighty, at the Asbury Danwell Church, on the Sunday the president is due to return from Australia, policemen are sent by Akufo-Addo to arrest Tsikata. Tsikata insists that he will worship first and report to the police after. Pastors and elders of the church intervene, pointing out that Tsikata had always made himself available when the police asked him to report. The police PR outfit now denies there had been any order for the arrest of Tsikata. Later, NPP officials blame NDC for the attempted arrests. Harassment of Tsikata had been incessant from 2001 when President Kuffour came to power. waylaying of Tsikata by security personnel at the airport, his passport being seized, Tsikata and his wife being prevented from traveling. Even his computer was stolen at night from his residence. Tsikata survived an armed attack in Lagos. He has been subjected to trial by newspapers, and false allegations by government officials such as Kandapa and KT Hammond have been widely publicized against him.
NCB at time, Amaka Anuaka Ghana Bana oil. Your government take about our oil. Naka Shikaha Tsatsu Tsikata. Akayata oil. Ni wana shikapi ni wakafe Ghana. Ne echo tomo abrochie. Tsatsu Tsikata ke shika. Eke ahu akwadumo. Banana farms. Eke shika ya fe mini. Banana farms. Akeko ya fe telephone.
Tsikata has held press conferences refuting the allegations. He was also one of the targets of government during the National Reconciliation Commission when Chris Asher, who escaped from custody whilst facing murder charges, was flown into the country and given government hospitality and protection to give false testimony that was given extensive coverage on national television. Justice Henrietta Aban fulfilled the government's wishes after the persistent onslaught by the government against Tsikata, sending him to Nsawam prison. After sentencing Tsikata, she exposed her bias to the hearing also of a young journalist. She was going to throw out his application for bail pending appeal.
On the 18th day of June 2008, I heard in the news that Mr. Tsatsu Tsikata, former Chief Executive Officer of NPP'S, was jailed for causing financial loss to the state. So the following day, I told myself, well, let me get the judgment and read about his offenses. So I went to the Fast Track High Court, precisely the CJ Court, to get a copy of the judgment. And when I got there, I saw Justice Henrietta Aban in a discussion with a registrar by name Brobe, and as they were talking, I kept quiet, and then what made me to start listening to them was that she said Tsatsu Tsikata, and then my mind came on her, and she was like, Mati said Tsatsu Tsikata filed motion for bail pending appeal na date pen on mama, and Brobe the registrar responded, yeah man, 23rd, Monday, and Justice Henrietta Aban went further to say that Tsatsu, your baby on ye. My jailing and my jailing no. Me money bill be a 23rd. My mommy ruling na me call me baby. Me fan no. And then she walked out of court.
On the night of 15th November 2008, Tsikata suffered an acute asthma attack in his locked cell. The attack lasts about 8 hours and no help is available till morning. Tsikata miraculously survives. After initial treatment at the Nsawam Government Hospital and 37 Military Hospital, he is taken to the intensive care unit of the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where he is still receiving treatment. Meanwhile, his pursuit for justice continues with his lawyers in court and with the Free Tsatsu campaign educating the public about the case. This is consistent with Tsikata's own conviction expressed in Psalm 94 verse 15. Justice will again be found in the courts and all righteous people will support it.
How many roads must a man walk down before they can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sinks in the sand? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Unceasing praise and prayers continue to be offered to God for Tsikata's life and the realization of this justice.
The Lord that free